Today we are going to do leadership styles in 5 minutes, or as close to it as I can get. Leadership styles come out of this broader set of leadership theories called behavioral theories. And behavioral theories of leadership claim that effective leadership is about having effective leadership behaviors. It's about doing things. It's not some indefinable quality of who you are, it is what you do. And according to the behavioral theories of leadership, there are two major types of leadership behaviors. There are task-oriented behaviors and there are relationship-oriented behaviors. Task-oriented behaviors are behaviors that facilitate the accomplishment of work. So this is anything the leader does to help you get your work done. This might be planning, scheduling, budgeting, delegating, getting you the resources you need to be successful, things that directly impact the actual accomplishment of work. Relationship-oriented behaviors, on the other hand, are behaviors that facilitate the inter- and intrapersonal aspects of work. And what I mean by that is that relationship-oriented behaviors are the things that a leader does to make sure that their followers are happy, motivated, communicating well between each other. Essentially, anything you do that focuses on the emotional or psychological well-being of your employees or your followers. So we can take these two dimensions, and across the bottom axis, across the horizontal, we have that little hand with a heart. That's supposed to represent relationship-oriented behaviors. And as you can see, we have leaders who are either high or low on that. And then on the vertical axis, we have the little man with a shovel, and that's representing task-oriented behaviors. And again, leaders can be either high or low on that. So by combining these two dimensions and looking at leaders that are high or low on task-oriented behaviors with leaders that are high or low on relationship-oriented behaviors, we get four distinct leadership styles. And that is leadership styles theory, is that there are these four major styles of leadership which represent a combination of being high or low on both task-oriented and relationship-oriented behaviors. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. In the upper left corner, we have what we call directive leadership. Leaders that exercise directive leadership, they're very high on task-oriented behaviors. They want to get work done. But as you can see, directive leaders are also low on relationship-oriented behaviors. So they're focused on wanting to get work done, and they don't really care how people feel about it. Classic example of this is in the military. If you've ever seen Pulp Fiction, and you remember that scene with Mr. Wolf, it's a pretty perfect example of directive leadership. There's a point where John Travolta asks Mr. Wolf or the Wolf to say please and thank you. And the wolf, he's been barking out orders. And he's like, hey, I'm sorry if I'm not saying please or thank you. We got an emergency here. I'm just trying to get the work done. I don't care how you guys feel about it. That is directive leadership. So another type of leadership style is leaders that are both high on task-oriented behaviors and high on relationship-oriented behaviors. So they want to get work done. They provide structure and resources for the accomplishment of work, but they also care about their followers. They are invested in the well-being of the people who work for them, and we call that participative leadership. I think a great example of this is Leslie Knope on Parks and Recreation. She's high on both task-oriented behavior, so she's very conscientious about her job. She's always trying to do these really meaningful, impactful projects at work. She's trying to get something accomplished. But on the other hand, she's also extremely high on relationship-oriented behaviors. It's really important for her that she gets along well with everyone and that everyone's happy. The whole first season, the plot is about how she's trying to get a park built, which is a task-oriented behavior, but it's all to make her friend happy, which is a relationship-oriented behavior. So she's very high on both. The next style of leadership is leaders that are really high on relationship oriented behaviors and really low on task oriented behaviors. And we call this country club leadership. This is a leadership style where it's about getting people to like you. That's the most important thing, but you don't really focus on getting work done. Classic example of this is, wait for it, Michael Scott. Michael Scott is a classic country club leader. He spends all day distracting people from work so that they can have birthday parties or celebrations. They have conferences and meetings that are really just about talking to each other and getting to hang out. He's always distracting people from getting their work done so that he can connect to them in kind of a human way, or try to. Anyway, so he would be a perfect example of a country club leader. High on relationship-oriented behaviors, cares a lot about the well-being of his employees, but low on task-oriented behavior. He's not really focused on getting work done. And lastly, we have free rein leadership. And free rein leaders it's almost like the absence of leadership. It's leaders that don't really focus on getting work done. They're low on those task-oriented behaviors, but they also don't really care about people. They're low on those relationship-oriented behaviors. For me, the best example I could think of for this is Ron Swanson in Parks and Recreation. The whole reason he's a libertarian, right? And the whole reason he's working for the government is so that he can sabotage it through inefficiency and not accomplishing anything. So he's very low on task-oriented behaviors, very low on actually getting work done. And likewise, he doesn't want to connect to the people that he works with. He has that joke about how he'll call someone by the wrong name if they're getting too buddy-buddy with him, right? He doesn't really care about connecting with people, but he also doesn't care about getting work done. So this would be free rein leadership. So that's it. That's leadership styles theory. I did it in 7 minutes. I got a conclusion here though, so we might be closer to 10 by the time I'm done. The thing to take away here is that there's two main types of leadership behaviors: task-oriented, getting work done, and people-oriented, focusing on the well-being of your followers. And we can combine those to come up with 4 distinct leadership styles. There is no one best way of leadership. We often have kind of a gut reaction that participative is the best form of leadership and free rein is probably the worst. But that's not necessarily true. The most effective leadership style depends on the people that you're working with and also the situation that you find yourself in. So the military uses a system of directive leadership, right? And that makes sense when you're in highly stressful life or death situations where decisions need to be made quickly, where the speed of a decision is often more important than the quality of a decision. That's when you use directive leadership. When you're out there, like on a battlefield, getting shot at, you don't have time to take a vote about what the best tactic is. Free rein leadership is usually criticized as the least effective, but we've all had micromanagers, right? If people are motivated to do their job well and they're very good at it, very effective at it, then sometimes the best thing the leader can do is get out of the way and let those people be successful, instead of trying to micromanage them, instead of trying to insert themselves into their work when it is unnecessary. It also, so that's really looking at the followers in the situation, and we could think of examples for participative and country club as well. So it's not about what is the best leadership style. It's what is the best leadership style given the people that you're working with and the situation that you find yourself in. There we go. 9 minutes and 24 seconds. Hopefully that clarified leadership styles for you. Thanks, guys.